Good day. I am Milda, ITMC lecturer and at the same time the head of the IT Security Department of Kaunas University of Technology and the manager of the Computer Incident Response Service of LitNet, a network of Lithuanian research and study institutions. Today we will talk about cyberspace and the threats we face. And what should be done to make life safe in cyberspace? I share the slides with you. And why do we need to talk about cyberspace and cyberspace security? Because our gullibility, our lack of vigilance, costs a lot. These are the articles in our press for the last month, the last weeks. And here are brief excerpts from them. Exactly what is the cost of our trust? We can see that on November 22nd, the man from Kaunas sent 700,000 euros to the scammers. Probably received a call or email. Was invited to a scam website or scam investment platform and lost 700,000 euros. Officials of Prienai city got on the same hook 2 times and lost 45,000 euros. Well, and quite recently, maybe 2 days ago, there was a message about scammers who cheated about 70,000 euros from a woman from Vilnius and 15,000 euros from residents of Klaipėda. The sums are certainly large. Well, the good news is that sometimes it is possible to recover part of the money transferred to scammers with the help of banks. But not all cases have ended successfully. In 2023, as the Lithuanian Banks Association claims, about 12 million euros are defrauded throughout the year. The numbers are really very impressive. The threats that we will talk about, I divided them into 3 groups. These are threats to our computers, to our equipment that we use every day. It can be both a phone and a tablet, it's not just a computer. Well, these devices also encounter viruses, malware, so-called Trojan horse, which hide in programs that we download from not very reliable sources. At first glance, we do not even see them. Well, when they are installed on a computer, they open the computer's gates to other programs, as if inviting additional malware to your computer. It can be spyware, it can also be keyloggers, which are also known in English as keyloggers. Of course, it can also be malware like ransomware. Many institutions have been in the news when the institution's computers and workstations have been encrypted and ransom demanded. Another threat I want to highlight is the threat to our children. This is cyberbullying, when bullying from the schoolyard, from the home playground, moves to the cyberspace. It can be messages on social networks, and photos taken in certain places and posted on social networks. It is also information of disturbing content. These include violent scenes, pornography, and other things that should not be accessible to children. Well, the sexual exploitation of children, as well as the very intense writing of messages of an erotic nature, which is called sexting. Well, of course, the third threat is for us adults. This is data theft, financial fraud, identity theft. When our data is stolen, our personal code is stolen, and some of these activities are carried out under the guise of us. It can be an item purchase, a loan taken out and we have a financial loss. It can also be spam or so-called phishing attacks. We will talk more about them later and show some examples. When it comes to cyber threats, first of all we need to talk about email and specifically the threats that we receive through the exchange of letters. Email is the oldest, but still the most popular, internet service. And it is, after all, the #1 target of hackers. Statistics say that more than 80% of successful cyber attacks occur through the use of social engineering techniques. It is because of our lack of vigilance, because of our greediness, because of our haste and carelessness. The scam schemes used by ill-intentioned people, used by scammers, are evolving every day. Different tools are used, and as we'll see, scammers have several masks. Well, a malicious attachment received by email is a threat not only to your equipment, but a threat to the entire company's computer network. Your computer may become infected if the network infrastructure is not secure. There is a risk that other computers could be, for example, be coded or encrypted. Well, some more statistics. In the drawing about email popularity statistics, it is said that in 2024, 361.5 billion emails per day were sent and received. It is hard to imagine the number of emails that are sent out. Like I said, scammers have several masks, and this is where you can see the main categories of scammers. Very often we receive emails or SMS messages where scammers pretend to be a bank or other well-known service company. It can be a post office, it can be a tax office, a bank or state social insurance fund board or another company that provides services well known to us. Another category of scammers, when they pretend to be company executives, is called CEO phishing or whale phishing. It's like whaling, when scammers target the CEO of a large company, send him messages, may call him and try to extract information, try to get him to make some decisions. There may be scammers pretending to be law enforcement. I will demonstrate. When letters are sent in the name of the police, and when scammers want to lure you into a certain correspondence, threatening letters are sent. There may be impersonated colleagues or business partners who are sent to you on behalf of your colleagues. They can send you letters and ask for your sensitive information. For example, in the case of a university, there was an example where a scammer pretended one of their university colleagues and asked for the lists of students. And what are student lists? This is personal information. By giving such data to scammers, we have a data breach. Other scammers pretend to be an investment broker. When they call us, they call in Russian, Lithuanian, and ask to invest in a certain platform. They can also offer help if we don't know how to do it. Fake buyers and sellers are a category where, for example, you want to sell an item. And the buyer may ask you for information such as bank account number, banking logins. You don't really need such things when shopping online. Another category is romance scams, when letters are sent to help people to get to know each other, communicate. And then at some point a letter is sent, maybe I would visit you, but I'm in trouble, send me money and maybe then we'll meet. There is also a category of fake internet service providers and administrators. A lot of letters are received where scammers introduce themselves as an email administrators. They send letters that say, the limit of your mailbox has been exceeded. There are some changes and please log in and provide your electronic account data. Again, scammers use certain techniques called manipulation techniques. First of all, it is psychological manipulation. They urge, press us to make a decision as soon as possible. Tries to derail us, confuse us. It is through the psychological prism that they try to defeat us. Another thing is data harvesting. I will show examples of when information is collected from publicly accessible places. From social networks, from leaked personal databases about you, about your hobbies. Again, I will demonstrate everything with examples. Scammers collect who is the manager, who is the accountant and try to send certain information on behalf of the director. Another technique is drawing the victim into a deception scheme. Again, scammers try to persuade us, try to tell us how everything will be great, how we will get rich, how we will make money quickly. They overwhelms us with a huge amount of information and scares us with the consequences. Scammers highlight the lack of our knowledge and offer to help us do something about it, help with an investment, help with the next step. And the last technique is a highly convincing impersonation. Scammers pretend to be someone very convincingly and communicate professionally by phone and letters. They can also create reliable copies of websites. They can install viruses and other harmful programs on the computer. Well, we have already discussed the techniques that scammers use. Now we will discuss the three main scam methods that have been known for a long time. Phone calls called phishing. You've probably heard of the phone calls that come, for example, from your son saying, "Mom, I've had an accident, I need money." A person will come and take it. They call pretending to be a friend's friends, call about other things. These are phone calls. It's a fairly old technology, but it's still working today. Scam SMS messages are called smishing. When scam messages come to your phone on behalf of the bank, scam messages come from your social networks with a link to log in somewhere, to do something. And scam emails are phishing. It's like phishing on the internet. Scam emails may contain links to a website asking for data, or a link to a malicious website that will infect your computer with viruses. In scam emails, the letters may also contain an attachment, which after viewing your computer may be infected with viruses or even encrypted. In addition to these three methods, the so-called phishing has recently appeared. Email programs have protections and recognize harmful links in emails and block such emails. To prevent this from happening, scammers have come up with another method, They hide the harmful link under a QR code. Well, you can see how the code looks like in the drawing. And the QR code like this is included as an image in the email. The email program does not block drawings and QR codes successfully reach us. After scanning the QR code, you may end up on a scam website. This is called queuing. So you have to be careful. If you see and scan the code, you need to pay attention to where it leads, to which link. What are the key features of scam emails? First of all, it is an unknown sender. The name may be known, but the email will certainly be unknown to us. Letters use a universal form of address: Dear Sir, Madam, or Sir, Madam. Spelling and grammatical mistakes. Mistakes are decreasing, and scammers are writing more accurately, but they still make logical mistakes. The emails impersonate a known organization, forge the sender's email address, disguise links, and request personal information. On the other hand, scam emails usually have the following signs, encouraging you to act quickly. Your account or bank account will be blocked after 24 hours if you do not enter your login details. It can be a notification of non-existent threats. For example, if you do not contact us by email, we will issue an arrest warrant. Promise of getting rich quickly, and the time of the offer is very limited. Let's say that if you do not invest today, there will be no such offer tomorrow. Well, let's move on to the examples. These are called SEO phishing examples. This is the Chief Executive Officer, so letters are sent on behalf of the manager. Good homework is done here. As you can see on the top line, the sender is Svetlana and the recipient is Janina. The example is from one of the Lithuanian schools. Svetlana is a director and Janina is an accountant. That information is taken from the school website. The email is written on behalf of the director, asking what our account balance is, and whether we can pay €43,144.69 today. Signed with respect, Svetlana. As I said, this is the director of the school, and on the bottom line, we can see the email is signed by Diana, who is the head of the kindergarten. And the kindergarten email address is taken from the kindergarten's website. Again, the requirements are that such information must be provided on the websites. It just so happens that scammers do their homework and send convincing information, so we need to be very vigilant. The email asks what is the account balance and can we pay €35,000 today. Just recently I got a call from a college administrator saying what's going on here. Accountants receive one letter a week on behalf of the director. The letter says that there has been a change of director, and 2 weeks later the letters arrive in the name of the new director. Wow, scammers work fast. There are still some examples. These are examples of phishing letters, examples of scam letters. One of them is on behalf of the subscription to the magazine People. Regarding the tax refund, with the idea that the subscription fees need to be refunded, it is €5.99. Again, as you can see, there is Mr. Mrs., that is the address, and reference to get the refund. See what's the link? Well, it really has nothing to do with people. Some momotakara.com address and a long URL string. And the traditional one, scam letters on behalf of the tax inspectorate. Even though from is presented as VMI, State Tax Inspectorate, but the email address is co.jp, it is a letter from Japan. It is possible that an email account, whether it is a company or an individual, has been hacked, its data intercepted and the mail sent from there. Again, as you can see, there is a respectable sir, madam. Well, the green button says log into the VMI website. Certainly the link did not lead to the VMI website. The badges and logos of that company, that institution, which we know really well, are also used in such letters. Such scam letters on behalf of the tax inspectorate increase in the months of April and May, when we make declarations. This is when scammers send all sorts of emails and try to lure you into a trap. In order not to fall into traps, you need to be able to read the so-called link. This is what is called a URL. A URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator, which is a unique address of a website or web pages on the internet. As an example, https://www.litnet.lt. Below is the category and news. Like folders. If we read, HTTPS is a protocol, www means that it is a website, Litnet is an abbreviation of the name of a company, institution, and LT is a two-letter country code or top-level domains. LT is a top-level domain, and Litnet is a first-level domain, it is a company. What do scammers do? For example, if Litnet's website is www.litnet.lt, a second such domain will not be registered. The domain can only be one and unique. They change LT to IT very often. Because it's not very noticeable, it's written in a similar way. Or scammers can create a website with, for example, a .com. Well, litnet.lt exists, so litnet.com can be such a website too. They can abuse subdomains as well. That litnet.lt domain, which we know very well, may no longer be a top-level or first-level domain, and the subdomain may be promoted. In fact, example.com is the main domain, and litnet.lt already appears in the subdomain. Scammers also change both the spelling and the use of the dot. Very often, the letter L is changed to 1, and the letter M is changed to a pair of letters R and N. Because when RN is written, it is very similar to M. Therefore, I very often saw how VMI scammers create VRNI. Instead of M, they write RN. There was also an example about Swedbank. Between the backs of D and B, the letter L or 1 is inserted. If we have poor vision or are in a hurry, we may not notice how it gets thicker in that place. Well, the point is, for example, if the real website was www.online-bank.com, the scammers can write the name differently and register another domain. Let's say www.online-bank.com. Very similar, we might not notice, but actually they are two different domains and one is real and the other may be run by scammers. In any domain we are familiar with, whether it's litnet.lt or your institution, scammers may put a link somewhere. They can construct the website link in such a way that our domain appears there. And if we're reading on our phone, and we don't see the full link there, but we will see KTU letters and think that this is real and that this is the website of a real institution. Again, it's actually not, because the domain is indicated-webhosting.com. That domain as a URL string, displayed as system information. So, you have to be very careful and remember that a domain can be faked and a very similar one can be registered. Some examples of scam SMS messages in the name of the bank. SEB Bankers writes that your account has been marked for suspicious activity. To learn about further actions, click on the link and the domain sebparama.com. SEB Bank has not registered such a domain. Here, only SEB's name appears in that link. Another example on behalf of Swedbank. It says, your card and account data are being blocked and log in here to unblock, otherwise your account will be closed. It threatens again, and there is a link https://swedbankapsorga.net. Again, this is not a domain ordered by Swedbank, it is a scam. And another one with Swedbank. Your request to add a new device was accepted on the 31st of March by helpswedbank.com. I will show you what scam page looks like. If you use Swedbank, the page really doesn't change. Scammers made a copy of the bank page. The only thing is that the address is not swedbank.lt, nor swedbank.ee, but helpswedbank.com. When we log in and we click on the link, we get a similar looking page, and what are we going to do? I guess we will try to connect and provide our details. Police. Scam letters in the names of well-known police officers have been circulating for many years. As far as we have checked the attachment that is attached to such a letter, it does not contain any harmful viruses or harmful links. This is an attempt to intimidate and possibly engage in further correspondence. And what will happen next? Again, scenarios can vary. You may be asked to provide data, you may be asked to transfer money, it may be anything. Below is the link police.lrv.lt/en/police-advice. Here you will find all the tips about the police. And you have to remember that the police domain is police.lt, and everyone, let's say whether investigators or employees of other services belonging to the police, send from police.lt. Not from any Gmail. Gmail mailboxes are prohibited. All the examples you have probably seen are with signs, with Interpol, with Lithuanian police badges. We can see both Poela and Matoni's sign, and these are non-existent things and an imaginary threat. Again, as far as we communicate with other services, such letters travel both in the Czech Republic and Latvia. There they are, mass emails, but the purpose is not yet fully clear. What else we are dealing with is disinformation attacks. Their goal is to cheat money from us. Very often in the press and social networks there is a description of a success story. In the name of well-known politicians, stars, or other people about a successful investment and a gold mine discovered in a short time. A message on social networks, a message in the press. This is a link to a scam investment platform. Again, you may get a call from such platforms asking for investment with very good terms and with very quick returns. Well, as I said, the only free cheese is in the mousetrap. There are no miracles in the world, and we will definitely not earn 10,000 euros per week by investing in such platforms. Well, such scam platforms are Oil Profit, Oil Trade, Ignitis Profit Sense and others. Now for some statistics. There is such a company, debunk.org, which conducts research on exactly how scammers work and how many accounts are created in social networks, where exactly such scam advertising can be placed, and how many domains are registered, and how many ads appear. Well, in 2023, 93 Facebook accounts of the social network were created to publish such scam advertisements. 81 purchased domains, 568 times those ads were displayed and placed. And 7.5 million times scam ads were shown on Facebook. And what domains are created for scam advertisements? This is delphinews.com. Although we know that delphi.lt is the main web address of Delphi, and lrt-tele6cja.com and news.com and delphilithuania.com, these are just a few of the 81 domains created to host scam advertisements. So we have discussed the main threats. Now how to protect myself against cyber scams. We have 10 points. Information about changes in bank account or banking details must be carefully assessed and verified through other communication channels. At the very beginning, I mentioned that the officials of Prieina got on the same hook twice. It was written in the press, that the municipality of Prieina had a partner who performed certain works. And the partner's email account was taken over, and when the settlement for certain services was carried out, the partner submitted a scam bank account. Without noticing that the account had changed in the letter that arrived, the money was transferred. So, as far as I know, you can receive scam letters about bank data changes not even by email, but by regular mail. Therefore, if the bank account changes, you need to be very alert all the time. And there is no shame in calling and asking if the bank account is really changing. Another protection is that neither the bank, nor the tax authorities or organizations send active links in emails where you need to enter your personal data. Yes, there may be links. It can be a description, it can be some kind of legal act that you need to read about, but you will never be asked to enter your personal data. On the other hand, you should never share your personal code, bank card details, passwords, or other sensitive data over the phone. And even more so on social networks unless you are sure of the reliability of the service or organization. You can't rush. Do not be psychologically manipulated or threatened by scammers. And when communicating in cyberspace, caution and even healthy suspicion is necessary. Work email account. Well, if you work in an institution and you have been given an account, you have been given an institution's email address. It should not be used on social networks or other platforms that are not related to the performance of official duties. That address is official, intended for the performance of official functions. You must use your personal email address on social platforms, in correspondence, when registering in online stores. Passwords. They need to be strong and different for different e-services. You cannot use the same password for Facebook, Google account, and, for example, for shopping on online stores. Each account should have a new password. Passwords are hard to remember, but there are special apps for storing passwords. Enable two-factor authentication whenever possible. This can be activated on both Facebook and Gmail platforms. This type of authentication is used by some institutions when another method of confirming your identity is used in addition to an account password. It can be entering a code on the phone or choosing other methods. Make copies of devices. In order to protect yourself from encryption, from data loss, you need to make copies of data both on the computer and on the phone. And the 10th point, always remember that only the cheese in mousetraps is free. There are no miracles, there are no get-rich-quick and other things. A little more about the security of electronic devices. We especially use them when working at home. The phone software must be kept up to date. The apps we use on our phones should only be downloaded from trusted sources. These are Google Play Store, Samsung Galaxy applications, etc. If we need to log in and do something in a public place, it's better to do it using mobile data than using free Wi-Fi. Apps request specific permissions during installation and use, such as access to data, geolocation, and more. That's what you need to be mindful of. Don't rush to click buttons and check, I agree, I agree, I agree, but take the time to see who will actually be using your data. If we're not using features on the phone, like the mobile network, Wi-Fi, or Bluetooth, they should be turned off. And of course, the phone screen should be locked with a code, gesture, or fingerprint, if that option is available. I'll say it again, you need to make backups. Also, as a note, if the device is used for official purposes, it's best not to share it with family members, especially children. If we have a work phone, it's meant for work-related tasks. Therefore, children and family members should avoid using it. Regarding safe work, as I mentioned, all programs on the phone must be legal and up to date, and the same applies to our computers. Only legal programs should be installed, and they must be regularly updated. Antivirus program or other additional security measures. After installing an antivirus program, Microsoft offers a free one. There are also other programs that need to be kept up to date. An outdated antivirus won't detect the latest viruses. If you use your computer to connect to your institution, it's recommended to uninstall torrent programs that are used to share movies or other video files.
Išdiegti tas vadinamas torrentų programėles, kuriomis mes siunčiame filmus ar kitą video failus. Tai ir torrentas, BitTorrent ir kitos programėlės.
These include Torrent, BitTorrent, and other similar apps, as file sharing through them can lead to computer infections. Clean table hygiene must be maintained. Passwords should not be on the screen or under the keyboard. If you're working from a coffee shop or another public place, documents containing confidential information should be kept out of sight, as they can be seen and accessed by others. If you and other family members share the computer, a separate account should be created for each person. So, there should be one account for your son and daughter, and a separate account for you, which shouldn't have administrative rights to install additional software. The default password for our equipment must be changed to secure the wireless network. Secure encryption mechanisms should also be used. When setting up the wireless network, make sure to select WPA3 or WPA2 as the encryption option. When connecting to your institution's systems, always use a VPN app for a secure connection. And, of course, remember to back up important files. So, probably so much about safe work and about threats. Stay safe, use computers securely, and remain vigilant. Thank you for your attention.